Chosen one, you feel abandoned, left behind by those you trusted. But listen closely, this is not rejection. It's God's protection. He saw what you couldn't see. He heard conversations you were not a part of. He knew their hearts when you did not. You thought their exit was the end. But what if I told you it was the beginning? Sometimes, God doesn't just close doors, He locks them. Not to punish you, but to protect you from walking through paths that would destroy you. Their departure was the key to unlocking your destiny. You cried when they left, believing they were essential to your life. But what you didn't see was what God saw, the betrayal, the distractions, the harm they would have caused. Their absence was not a loss. It was freedom disguised as pain. It was a blessing you didn't know you needed. You carried them for so long, thinking their presence gave you strength. But instead, it was holding you back. You poured your energy into people who drained you, into relationships that only added weight to your journey. You felt obligated to keep them close, even when they stopped contributing to your growth. God watched as you struggled under the load, praying for relief, even though you didn't know what that relief would look like. Then one day He intervened. He let the weight fall, not because you asked, but because He saw the path ahead. He knew you couldn't climb higher while carrying what didn't belong in your life. That weight wasn't just heavy. It was keeping you from His divine plans. Now you walk lighter, even if your heart still aches. Trust the process, for the load He removes is always replaced with blessings you never expected. You've been wondering why the path ahead feels so lonely, why God stripped away the familiar faces and left you to walk alone. But listen carefully, when God clears the path, it's not to harm you, it's to prepare you. He's removing the distractions, the hindrances, and the people who were never meant to go where you're headed. Sometimes the hardest thing to understand is that not everyone is meant to stay. The people who left, the ones who betrayed you, weren't part of the future God designed for you. Their chapter in your life was necessary but temporary. Holding onto them would have cost you the blessings God has been preparing all along. You feel the emptiness now, but soon you'll feel peace. You'll realize the silence was necessary for you to hear God's voice clearly. You'll understand that the loneliness was His way of drawing you closer to Him, of teaching you to rely on His strength and not on others. God never clears a path without reason. The road ahead is brighter, purer, and full of His promises. But it's also narrower, requiring you to walk with faith and courage. What lies ahead is greater than what you've left behind, so trust Him. Keep walking. Let Him lead. The blessings are coming. You've been looking back, replaying everything you've lost. But what you don't see is that God isn't focused on what's behind you. He's focused on what's ahead. Every loss, every betrayal, every goodbye was part of His plan to prepare you for something far greater. Think about it. If you had kept those people, those relationships, or those situations, would you be ready for the blessings that are coming? Sometimes, God has to break your heart to save your soul. He removes what you thought you needed so He can make space for what He's already prepared for you. The emptiness you feel now, that's just the room He's making for His abundance. The rejection you felt, that's Him redirecting you to His promises. The closed doors, they're just detours to something far better than what you imagined. God doesn't take without giving. He doesn't close without opening. Trust Him in this process. What you've lost is nothing compared to what He's about to bring into your life. Keep walking, keep trusting, and know that every tear, every disappointment, and every lonely night was setting you up for a divine comeback. Sometimes, life feels like a furnace. The heat of loss, betrayal, and loneliness burns so intensely that you wonder if you'll ever come out whole. But the fire isn't meant to destroy you. It's meant to refine you. God is using the very flames you fear to mold you into something stronger, purer, and unbreakable. Gold cannot shine without the fire. Diamonds are not formed without pressure. And your purpose cannot come to life without trials. What you've been through isn't punishment. It's preparation. Every tear you've cried, every sleepless night, every unanswered question. It's all shaping you into the person God needs you to be for the next season. This isn't the end. The flames won't consume you because God is with you in the fire. He's watching over you, protecting you, and making sure you come out better than before. What feels like destruction is actually transformation. The person emerging from this fire will be stronger, wiser, and ready for the blessings ahead. So don't fear the flames. They're working for your good. Stand tall even when it's hard. Your story isn't over. The best chapters are still being written. There are seasons when life grows quiet, when the voices around you fade, and even God seems silent. You pray, you cry, and yet no answer comes. But don't mistake his silence for absence. The quietest moments are often when God is working the most. Think of a seed buried in the dark earth. It's hidden, forgotten, and unseen. But beneath the surface, a transformation is taking place. Roots are forming, foundations are strengthening, and life is beginning to take shape. Your life is the same. In the silence, God is growing you, building you, and preparing you for what's to come. These silent seasons are not wasted. They are where your faith is tested and refined. Will you trust him when you can't see the way forward? Will you believe in his promises when all you have is the quiet? Remember this, the silence is temporary. When the time is right, God will call you out of the darkness and into the light. The seed will break through the soil, the flower will bloom, and the world will see what God has been working on all along. Stay patient. Stay faithful. Your time is coming. Not every storm is sent to destroy. Some storms are sent to cleanse. When the winds rise and the thunder roars, you fear the chaos, forgetting that the rain washes away what no longer serves you. God doesn't send storms without a purpose. This storm you're in, it's removing the toxic relationships, the doubts, and the fears you've been holding on to. It's clearing the clutter so you can see the path he's laid before you. The noise may overwhelm you now, but when the storm passes, there will be peace. Remember this: flowers bloom after the rain, rivers flow after the flood, and new life begins when the storm ends. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. This chaos isn't here to ruin you. It's here to reset your life. So stop running from the storm. Stand still and trust the one who controls it. The God who sent it is the same God who will carry you through it. When the clouds clear, you'll realize the storm wasn't just for destruction. It was for restoration. Sometimes the path ahead feels impossible. The gap is too wide, the river too deep, the mountain too steep. You stand frozen, unsure of how to move forward. But what you don't see is that God is already building the bridge. It may not look like much at first. A single step, a small opening, but trust me, it's enough. The bridge isn't always what you expect. Sometimes it's a person who shows up at the right moment. Sometimes it's an opportunity disguised as a challenge. And sometimes it's just a whisper in your heart reminding you to keep going. God works in ways we don't always understand, but his timing is never wrong. When you feel stuck, don't focus on the obstacle. Focus on the one who can move mountains. Trust that the bridge is being built piece by piece, even when you can't see it. All you have to do is take the first step. The path ahead may be uncertain, but you are not alone. The God who created the universe is the same God who is guiding your journey. Keep walking. The bridge will carry you where you need to go. There will be nights when the darkness feels endless, when fear creeps in, and hope seems out of reach. You search for a way out, but nothing looks familiar. It's in these moments that you must remember, the light you're searching for isn't outside of you. It's within you. God placed His light inside your soul, a flame that cannot be extinguished by circumstances or fear. It's that quiet strength that pushes you to take one more step when the world tells you to stop. It's that voice that whispers, "You are not alone," even when silence surrounds you. The darkest nights are where your inner light shines the brightest. It's in those moments of uncertainty and struggle that God shows you what you're truly capable of. He hasn't abandoned you. He's teaching you to trust in the light He gave you. So when the darkness closes in, don't panic. Pause, breathe, and remember who you are. You are a child of God, carrying His light in your heart. No matter how deep the shadows, the dawn is always coming. Hold on, keep walking, and let your light guide the way. There are times when the burdens you carry feel too heavy to bear. The weight of expectations, the pain of loss, and the fear of failure press down on you, leaving you exhausted and unsure if you can take another step. But what if I told you that the weight you carry isn't meant to break you? It's building you. God doesn't place anything in your life without a purpose. The challenges you face today are preparing you for the victories of tomorrow. Every struggle, every setback, every tear is strengthening you, shaping you into someone who can carry the blessings waiting ahead. Think of a sculptor chiseling away at a rough stone. Each strike feels harsh, but it's revealing the masterpiece within. That's what God is doing with your life, removing what doesn't belong and refining you into who you're meant to be. So don't give up under the weight. Lean into it. Trust that God's plan is bigger than your pain. With every step, you're becoming stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the purpose He's set before you. The weight you carry today will become the strength you walk with tomorrow. You've been searching for answers, looking for the key that will unlock the next door in your life. You've prayed, waited, and wondered if you're missing something. But here's the truth. The key you're searching for is already in your hands. God has already equipped you with everything you need to move forward. The skills, the strength, the wisdom. It's all within you, waiting to be unlocked by faith. Sometimes the only thing standing between you and the next step is your belief that you're ready. Stop doubting yourself. Stop waiting for someone else to give you permission. God has already called you, chosen you, and prepared you. The challenges you've faced weren't meant to hold you back. They were meant to prepare you for this very moment. The door may seem impossible to open, but it's not locked. All it needs is for you to step forward in faith and turn the key. Don't let fear hold you in place. Trust that God's timing is perfect and that He's guiding you to exactly where you need to be. The key is in your hands. Use it. There are moments in life when it feels like you're walking through fire, when every step burns and the heat of your struggles threatens to consume you. But what if I told you this fire isn't here to destroy you? It's here to refine you. Gold is tested in fire, purified until it shines. In the same way, God uses the trials of life to remove what no longer belongs, doubt, fear, weakness, and reveal the strength, courage, and faith within you. The fire is not the end. It's the process. Yes, it's painful. Yes, it feels unfair. but each moment in the fire is shaping you, transforming you into the person God created you to be. The ashes of what you lose will give way to the beauty of what you gain. A stronger heart, a clearer purpose, and an unshakable faith. So don't run from the fire. Face it. Walk through it knowing you are never alone. God is with you, guiding you, protecting you, and turning your pain into something far greater than you can imagine. When you emerge, you won't just be stronger. You'll shine like gold. There are moments in life when it feels like you're walking through fire, when every step burns, and the heat of your struggles threatens to consume you. But what if I told you this fire isn't here to destroy you? It's here to refine you. Gold is tested in fire, purified until it shines. In the same way, God uses the trials of life to remove what no longer belongs, doubt, fear, weakness, and reveal the strength, courage, and faith within you. The fire is not the end. It's the process. Yes, it's painful. Yes, it feels unfair. But each moment in the fire is shaping you, transforming you into the person God created you to be. The ashes of what you lose will give way to the beauty of what you gain. A stronger heart, a clearer purpose, and an unshakable faith. So don't run from the fire. Face it. Walk through it knowing you are never alone. God is with you, guiding you, protecting you, and turning your pain into something far greater than you can imagine. When you emerge, you won't just be stronger. You'll shine like gold. There's a place we all find ourselves in at some point. The valley of waiting. It's the in-between, the quiet space between where you are and where you want to be. The silence feels deafening, and the stillness feels like stagnation. But what if the valley isn't meant to delay you? What if it's meant to prepare you? The waiting season isn't wasted. It's where roots grow deep, where lessons are learned, and where faith is tested. God doesn't rush the process because He knows the journey is just as important as the destination. It's in the valley where you learn to trust Him completely, to let go of your timeline and embrace His. The valley may feel empty, but it's full of purpose. Look around you. There's beauty in the stillness, growth in the waiting. The longer you're there, the stronger you'll be for the mountain ahead. Don't rush out of the valley. Sit with it, learn from it, and let it shape you. God hasn't forgotten you. He's working behind the scenes, aligning everything perfectly for the moment when He says, "It's time." And when that time comes, you'll be ready to step forward, stronger and more prepared than you ever imagined. Storms are terrifying. They come without warning, shaking everything you've built, tearing apart what you thought was secure. In those moments, it's easy to wonder, why is this happening? Why now? But storms don't come to destroy you. They come to clear the path ahead. Sometimes, God allows the winds to blow and the rain to fall because He's removing what no longer serves you. He's breaking down the walls you've built around your heart, washing away the doubts, fears, and obstacles that have been holding you back. The storm feels chaotic, but it's doing what you cannot see. It's clearing the debris, creating space for new growth, and preparing the ground for the next step in your journey. You may not understand it now, but trust that this storm is part of His plan. When the storm ends, and it always does, you'll see the world differently. The air will be clearer, the path ahead brighter. You'll realize the storm didn't come to end you. It came to strengthen you, to prepare you for what's next. So when the winds howl and the rain falls, don't be afraid. Stand firm. God is in the storm, and He's working for your good. Sometimes the journey ahead feels impossible. A vast chasm lies before you, separating you from where you are and where you're meant to be. You look down and see nothing but emptiness, and you wonder, how can I cross this? But what you don't realize is that faith builds bridges where none exist. Faith doesn't need you to have all the answers. It doesn't require you to see the entire path. All it asks is for you to take one step, to trust that each step forward will reveal the next. That's how God works. He doesn't give you the whole picture. He gives you enough light for the moment you're in. It's scary to walk where there's no ground beneath your feet, to trust that the invisible will become visible. But that's where faith grows, when you stop depending on what you see and start believing in what God has promised. Take the step. Trust the unseen. With every step of faith, the bridge becomes stronger, the path clearer. And when you finally reach the other side, you'll look back and realize that it wasn't just a bridge you built. It was a testament to God's faithfulness in your life. There comes a moment when you must face yourself, not the version of you that others see, but the real you, the one you keep hidden. It's uncomfortable, isn't it? Looking into the mirror of truth and seeing every crack, every flaw, every scar. But what if I told you this mirror doesn't just show you your brokenness? It shows you your strength. God doesn't use the perfect. He uses the willing. He doesn't need you to hide your imperfections because, in your weakness, His strength is made perfect. The mirror isn't here to shame you. It's here to remind you of who you are. You are not defined by your past. You are not limited by your mistakes. When God looks at you, He doesn't see the cracks. He sees the light shining through them. The mirror shows your reflection, but God sees your potential. Don't turn away from the truth. Embrace it. Let it shape you, refine you, and guide you. The cracks in the glass don't weaken the reflection. They make it real. And in that reality lies the beauty of your story. A story that only you can live and only God can redeem. The journey has been long, filled with valleys and peaks, storms and stillness, doubts and victories. You've been refined by fire, strengthened by faith, and guided by whispers. And now you stand at the end of this chapter, not broken but crowned. The crown isn't just a symbol of glory, it's a reminder of purpose. Every tear you've shed, every battle you've fought, every prayer you've whispered has brought you here. It was never about the destination, it was about becoming who you were always meant to be. This crown isn't earned by perfection. It's placed on the heads of those who endured, who trusted, who stood firm even when the path was unclear. It's a crown of purpose, forged in trials, polished by faith, and placed by the hands of the one who called you. You may have started this journey feeling small, lost, or unsure, but now you know the truth. You are chosen, you are loved, and you are equipped for the path ahead. Wear the crown not with pride, but with humility, knowing it was never about your strength, but His. And as you take your next steps, remember, this isn't the end. It's a new beginning. You were called for a purpose, and the world is waiting for the light only you can bring.